All right, my friends, welcome back. We're continuing our coverage of the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. Joining me now is UK counter-extremism researcher, correspondent at 1945.com, and author of The Monster of Their Own Making, Jack Buckby. Nice to see you, old friend. The monarchy may be kind of difficult for we Americans to fully grasp. I think it's fair to say we have a fascination in the United States with the British monarchy because of our shared history. But tell America what our cousins across the pond are feeling tonight with the Queen's passing.
Well, it's obviously an extremely emotional day. I've had a bit of a roller coaster day myself. You say it's hard for Americans to understand, and maybe it's a fascination, but I have to say the love I've seen for the Queen in the United States since I moved here just over a year ago is incredible. I've always joked that whenever I'm at the supermarket, I see more magazines with pictures of the Queen and the royals on the front than I do in England. People love her. Even my cab driver today in Manhattan seemed deeply moved and saddened by the news that she was unwell. It's a tough day. We've lost a lot, and it's very comforting to see the world mourning.
Well, let's talk about that, because the sheer breadth of what the Queen lived through, all the history that she herself witnessed. Indeed, few people alive, I already said this once, can remember England without her sitting on the throne. What do you think? It's probably going to be really hard to encapsulate this into one thought, because it may be several legacy points that she offers. But give me the top 3 legacy items she's going to be leaving the world in your mind.
Top 3 legacy items. Well, first of all, is the absolute grace and dignity, as your previous guest said, that she's carried out this job for her entire life, almost 70 years. She's been this constant, amidst political chaos, a constant that we look to, and she did it all with real grace. And remember as well, another thing, she's the leader of not just the United Kingdom, the sovereign of the United Kingdom, but also of 14 Commonwealth states, and then also the head of the Commonwealth, which is 56 states. She had a huge job on her hands, and she did that to her dying day. She was carrying out these duties. But also, it's important not to forget, she's also the head of the church, or was the head of the church. She was our physical, human connection to the divine. She was a big part of our religion, a big part of our identity. And I think the whole nation probably feels the same as me when I say that I don't feel like we've just lost a head of state, or this is some kind of constitutional matter. I feel like I've lost a big part of myself.
Wow, it's that deep. Well, and again, whereas I guess that the person I can think of, that we lost, that I really felt, was Ronald Reagan when he passed, because he was the president in power when I came up, when I was a kid, who I looked to as a role model. When we lost him, and we saw universal love for Ronald Reagan. But what I'm hearing from you is a heck of a lot deeper. And you mentioned she being the head of the Church of England. This religious connection that she had, she was a devout Christian and devout in her faith. But you see the UK and Europe in general kind of shying away and going more secular. What do you think? Do you think that maybe her passing might be a reawakening of faith in the United Kingdom?
Maybe so. I can hope so. I certainly have my ups and downs with faith, but one of the things that always pulls me back to it is the Queen. She has that real great power, and I hope that King Charles can carry on with that. And I have to say that the best thing that all those who love the Queen can do now is to be as loyal to King Charles as we were to her.
Well, what's kind of ironic, I think I'm correct in this, but I think one of the Queen's last official acts, if not the last official act, was to appoint and partake in the appointment ceremony of the United Kingdom's new Prime Minister. And a little fun fact, I just learned that Prime Minister Truss, she actually in college wrote a dissertation on about abolishing the monarchy, and now she's the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. What's your take on all that?
Well, I think we have to forgive people for silly things that they say when they're young. I'm a good example of that, actually, not to plug my book at such a time, but my last book was exactly about my experience as a youngster in extremist politics. Young people have a lot of things to say, and sometimes maybe we need to ignore that and let people move on.
Last thing I wanted to talk to you about is concerning Truss. One of her first actions was to lift a ban on fracking over there in the United Kingdom in recognition that this green energy path is going to leave a lot of people suffering over there in the United Kingdom. Do you think she's off to a strong start?
I think it's strategically sensible, although it could hurt her in the next election, especially in communities like where I'm from in the north, where fracking has already begun in some places. It was eventually stopped, and some of the effects of that was not welcomed by local people. So she's certainly going to get a lot of flack for it, but she's really stuck between a rock and a hard place right now. She has to do something about energy, and this was the only thing that could have some flexibility, I suppose.
Well, I know you just got here to the United States, and this year from the United Kingdom, and now a lot of big things are happening over in the UK. Do you kind of miss not being there in consequential times like this?
Of course, seeing these scenes of everybody gathered around Buckingham Palace today, I feel so distant and so far away. It feels like I really should be there, and I hope to be there soon. But again, as I say, seeing the deep love that people really have for the Queen in the United States is so heartwarming. I think it says a lot about America and our close ties with America. I consider this a European, a British nation, fundamentally.
Yeah, you and me, my friend, we've been talking for a good many years now, part of that special relationship between American and the British people. So, man, I really appreciate your time in carving out your thoughts on this solemn day. Jack Buckby, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Coming up, we'll continue our coverage